Assalamualaikum and good morning everyone. My name is Nur Shafiekah Sapan and today I would like to present about my research titled Project-Based Role Play as a Driver for Change, Reducing Oral Communication Anxiety in ESL Learners. So my study examines how we can leverage modern student-centered design to overcome one of the biggest psychological hurdles in the ESL classroom, which is speaking anxiety. So, as I mentioned earlier, speaking anxiety is a critical barrier for English as a second language learners, which often reinforced by traditional high-stakes evaluation that discourages active participation. So, recognizing this pedagogical gap, this study introduces a low-stakes, technology-integrated project-based learning framework, where number one, students can engage in authentic role activities, and number two, publish their work on TikTok. So this approach is explicitly designed to transform the learning environment from passive to student-centered by creating a safe space for repeated low exposure, low pressure practice to dismantle the anxiety cycle, and thirdly, boost students' oral communication confidence and fluency. So let's take a look at the literature review. So my review began with establishing the theoretical foundation. So let's look at the first one, speaking anxiety in second language learning. So anxiety, defined by McIntyre and Gardner in 1993, is a feeling of apprehension that can arise from early language practice, which lead to negative experiences that cause situation-specific anxiety. There are a lot of factors contributing to this. So Horwitz et al. 1986 identified three components. Number one, communication apprehension. Number two, test anxiety. And three, fear of negative evaluation. So these fears manifest as avoidance behaviors, which lead to reduced participation, provide fewer practice opportunities for the students, and persistent barrier to develop their spontaneous fluency. So to understand the psychological damage of the anxiety, I use Russian affective filter hypothesis. So this theory suggests that high anxiety acts like a mental block, which prevent linguistic input from being processed effectively and stop students from translating knowledge into spontaneous communicative performance. So, for example, if the filter is high, students might know the grammar rules, but they cannot produce spontaneous speech. Therefore, a successful teaching method must be engineered specifically to lower this effective filter. Next, project-based learning. So the framework that I use for this study is project-based learning or PBL. PBL is an innovative learner-centered instructional model that promotes authentic learning through collaborative real-world tasks. Not only that, PBL also encourages active inquiry and allows students to take ownership of their learning, which is shown to enhance motivation and self-confidence. So my study also integrated role play. The reason why integrated role play because it aligns with the PBL principles. So the role play allows learners to assume character which simulates a real life situation. So seeing the effectiveness of role play, a lot of educators implement in the ESL classroom. So let's take a look at the previous studies. For example, Nihazram and Masnan 2020 found that role play in the early childhood ESL classroom improved the young learners' English proficiency, for example, vocabulary, fluency, and pronunciation. Another study by Ahmada and Munawara found that role play significantly improved students' fluency and willingness to speak. And lastly, Maldin and Singapore found that role play able to stimulate and provide enjoyable classroom environment which improve students' engagement in the class activity and help them build confidence in speaking. Next, research questions. So from the very beginning, I mentioned that speaking anxiety is a persistent barrier in ESL learning. However, with project-based learning, combined with role play can offer an authentic collaborative solution. So this approach is designed to help learners overcome fear, increase participation, and develop their fluency and confidence. So this study is actually try to evaluate the effectiveness of this low-stakes technology integrated project-based role-play approach by seeking to answer the following research questions. Number one, what are the students' perceptions of this approach? in reducing their speaking anxiety in the oral communication English classroom. And number 2, how do this approach reduce their speaking anxiety in the context of oral communication in the English classroom. Next, methodology, setting and participant. This study was conducted at University of Malaysia Sabah Labuan International Campus, a branch campus of University of Malaysia Sabah. The reason it was chosen because this is where I am teaching, and the participant of this involved 51 first-year undergrad students from 2 faculties, Faculty of International Finance, FCAL, and Faculty of Computing Informatics, FKI, enrolled in the oral communication in English classroom. Next, data collection and data analysis. So the data was collected using a set of closed and open-ended questionnaire administered via Microsoft Form after the completion of the project. The questionnaire consists of 3 sections. Section A, demographic information. Section B with 13 Likert scale questions ranging from strongly disagree to strongly agree. Adopted, and these questions adopted and modified from a study by Samsudin et al. To measure the impact of project-based role-play. And section C consists of 4 open-ended questions. So the quantitative data was analyzed using descriptive statistics, specifically percentages, whereas the open-ended analyzed thematically. So let's take a look at the implementation of the project-based role-play. So to ensure the manageability, the 2 distinct role-play tasks were taken from the syllabus, administered to the students. Number 1, compositional role-play, and number 2, architectural tour guide role-play. So how this project implemented? First, it starts with me providing resources and discussion of the topic, and then also providing the phrases for the speaking skills so that they can include in their script, and then the students will work together in a group where they will do research and also prepare the script. This conducted in the classroom so they can ask me directly if there's any question, and then next they will start doing the recording. This is where they will practice self-correction, and then after they're done with the recording, they will post on TikTok, and then even after they post on TikTok, they can still re-edit and repost based on their own self-reflection and also the peer reflection. Peer evaluation. Let's see result. Right, so let's take a look at research question number 1. What are students' perception of project-based role-play in reducing their speaking anxiety in the oral communication English classroom? So the participant had a highly positive perceptions with the use of project-based role-play activities, where it increased their interest in the activity, and also they preferred role-play over traditional learning. For example, in item number 1, 92.1% interested in role-play activities. In item 7, 86.3% participant preferred role-play over traditional learning. So the participant also agreed that activities were fun and motivating. For example, in item 4, where 96.1% agreed, whereas 82.3% participants found the activities provided a more relaxing atmosphere, which confirming the Law 6 environment. So a study by Liu and Ding 2009 affirmed that role-play is an effective method to animate teaching and learning environment, which subsequently sparks students' interest and contributes to impressive language acquisition. Next, 76.5% participants also agreed that the project-based role-play helped reduce the anxiety, and a significant of 96.1% agreed that role-play improved the active participation and confidence in speaking, and 98.1% agreed that activities allowed them to speak more naturally. So previous studies like Silalahi and Naisa and also Nupani found that the role-play activities made the students feel more confident, and another study by Lester and Sridatun 2020 reported that students get more time to role-play. According to Henisa et al. 2023, by engaging the students into the role-play activities enabled them to overcome students' shyness in speaking, as they were allowed to communicate and act like the other student. Next, accuracy and fluency. 94.1% agreed that role-play improved their speaking accuracy, like in item 1, and 86.1% believed that activities helped them to speak more fluently. So it can be said that the repeated practice of dialogue before they start recording the video can support this perceived gain of fluency. So, studies by Andrews et al. And Samson et al. 2023 noting that through role-play activities, students were able to develop their speaking accuracy and fluency by providing opportunities to practice the language. Supported by prior research, the quantitative data of this study confirmed the low-stakes design effectively mitigates the affective filter, which transformed the classroom into a safe, motivating, and natural space for oral communication practice. So next, let's take a look at the research question number 2. How do low-stake activities such as project-based role-play reduce students' speaking anxiety in the context of oral communication in the English classroom? So the primary reason for reduced anxiety is the low-stake environment, which successfully lowers the affective filter as shown in the quantitative data. The qualitative feedback also confirmed that this low-stake environment successfully created a safe space for students to practice English. The relaxed atmosphere of the role-play eliminated the fear of negative evaluation, which overcome the main cause of students' reluctance of participating in speaking activities. So, for example, participating 14 highlighted this mechanism, reporting that role-play activities allowed them to feel more comfortable in making mistakes in a safe space. So, study by Tandibayok et al. 2023 mentioned that role-play, when incorporating assumed roles, successfully created a safe and supportive environment for practice, eliminating the fear of mistakes. And the activities also help the students overcome their fear and hesitation, which make them feel more comfortable in speaking in English spontaneously. Next, students' reduced anxiety is also evident through an improvement in their confidence and fluency, where regular speaking practice improves their confidence by simulating a real-life situation. This allows students to spontaneously practice new vocabulary, ultimately boosting their willingness to speak in English in front of the teachers and peers. Mosa et al. 2025 found that role-play activities not only motivated the students to learn, but also significantly improved their self-esteem. So the qualitative data further demonstrate that the low-stake practice environment was the direct incentive for developing confidence and fluency. So in conclusion, the low-stakes role-play approach is highly effective pedagogical tool which received overwhelmingly positive perceptions from the students. It successfully fostered genuine fluency, built confidence, and created a motivating learning environment. So the co-intervention, which is the low-stakes practice environment, proven critical. So this design is able to directly address the affective filter by successfully creating a safe space for students to practice. By eliminating the fear of negative evaluation, allow the students to feel more comfortable for making mistakes and overcome their fear and hesitation. So this approach achieved its primary goal, which able to reduce the student anxiety and encourage more natural and regular speaking practice. So this resulted in perceived increase in fluency and also boost in active participation and confidence, which support Russian theory of lowering the affective filter. Next, let's take a look at the limitation and future research. Right. The study used a short duration cross-sectional design and was limited to researcher on sections which impacting the data generalizability. Right. So for future research, there were 3 recommendations. Number 1, implementing an experimental design using a control group to validate the findings. And number 2, adding objective pre and post speaking tests to move beyond self-reported perceptions of fluency and accuracy. And lastly, conduct a longitudinal study to explore long-term sustainability of the anxiety reduction. With that, I end my presentation. Thank you for your time and attention. So now I'm open to any questions you may have. Thank you.